Venus interaspects in the horoscopes between two people. And Venus, it's so important. Her interaspects with another person's horoscope are so important because Venus is the planet of love. Venus is what we appreciate in another. What makes us feel fulfilled, happy, kind of. What gives us fun as well. Venus is what we appreciate as physical beauty as well. What kind of Venus shows how we like to enjoy ourselves. Like what kind of activities give us pleasure, sensual pleasure. And affection, how we express our affection. So if the Venus in one person connects with important points or planets in the horoscope of the other person, this immediately indicates someone we're very likely to have relationship indications with. And let's see how Venus connects with each different planet or point. For example, go and find for the let's say we look at the female first. Find her, and you can look both also after that at the male's Venus, but first look at the females. Look at her Venus, and its sign, let's say, is in Virgo. And then go to the other partner, or it might not be even a man, it might be another woman, or it might be their colleague or their friend, and start checking if the Venus of the woman falls in the same sign as the other person's ascendant, moon, or sun. These are the first three most important. Remember how they define personality so much. And say the man has a moon in Virgo, or has, let's start with the ascendant. If the man has the same ascendant as the Venus of the woman, this is very bonding. It immediately shows that his personality is what the woman feels attracted towards. What the woman finds attractive. This is Venus. What the women looks for in a relationship. Venus shows what we look in a relationship. And if it's the male's ascendant is also Virgo, let's say, or if the female's Venus is in Gemini and the man's ascendant is in Gemini, it immediately creates this love, this kind of a physical attraction even between the two of them. Because the man expresses himself, or whoever is with the ascendant expresses their personality and they approach things in the same way that the woman Venus prefers things done and feels attractive. And he might have an appearance that the woman finds very attractive as well, because the ascendant shows appearance. Or if this is the woman and this is the man who has Venus there in the same sign as the woman's ascendant, he will find, he being the Venus, will find her very physically attractive. And also, whenever you have the same sign Venus as someone's ascendant, or any other of those, moon or sun, it's like you're having a constant transit of Venus in your life. It's as if Venus, it's as if all of a sudden you have in your life Venus on the ascendant. So you start feeling more pretty. You start taking better care of your physical appearance with the ascendant there. You're much more inclined, this person, the Venus person, can bring the ascendant person much more Venusian experiences, love, affection, intimacy, beauty, sense of worth as well. Venus rules sense of worth, how worthy we feel, how appreciated we feel. So it's very strong. And the closest the degree is, the more powerful. So if the Venus of one person is at 5 Virgo and the ascendant of the other person is at 7, 8 Virgo, within 2-3 degrees. Remember, a sign is only 30 degrees from 0 to 30. Within 2-3 degrees. So within 7-8 degrees, if they're close to each other, it's very, very powerful. The more the distance happens, say her Venus is at 3 degrees, and his ascendant, or whoever's ascendant of the partner is at 29 degrees, there is like a long 26, 7 degrees difference between the two. They're still in the same sign, they'll still attract each other, but not as intensely as the degrees were similar. If the Venus of the one partner falls in the same sign as the other's moon, say again it's Virgo or Scorpio, and the other partner's moon is in Scorpio, again, very, very powerful attraction. I mean, if I have to rate them in scale, I'll give 3 points for each one of those. And the moon is what one feels comfortable with, how one feels nurtured. And Venus, when falls on another's moon, will make the other person feel, feel at home with you, feel emotionally able to share with you, feel very relaxed and comfortable with you. There will be a lot of expressive affection and emotion between the two people. So very, very powerful. Venus of one in the same sign as the moon of the other person. For living together, they'll feel comfortable living together. The moon person will just love the Venus person. The Venus person will feel comfortable as well with the moon person. So they're strong, because one is feelings, the other one is affection. So when you mix together both, there is strong emotional attachment between these two people when they have Venus moon. Very, very powerful for relationships in a positive way. Or the Venus of one in the same sign as the sun of the other. Very powerful. Again, another of those, soulmate or powerful attraction combinations. Many married couples have either Venus with ascendant, Venus with moon, or Venus with sun. One's Venus in the same sign as the ascendant, moon or sun of the other person. The Venus person will appreciate and will like what the other core personality is. The sun will help the other person shine out somehow more. The sun person would feel very beautiful around the Venus person, appreciated, because all this energy of appreciation, of beauty, of comfort, of pleasure, of sensuality, of physical attraction, which is Venus, is basically brought into the life of the two people when they have one of those cross aspects. And the closer in degree they are, the more powerful it is. And also you can look if Venus is in the opposite sign of someone's ascendant. Very powerful. Say partner's Venus is in Virgo, and the opposite sign of Virgo here is Pisces. There is always, each sign has an opposite sign. So if the other person's ascendant is in Pisces, and the partner's Venus is in Virgo, the opposite sign, very powerful attraction again. Because it means that the Venus of this person falls in the 7th house of relationship of the other person. So he becomes like the ideal partner for the other. Becomes a partner, someone serious partner they consider as bringing them fun, joy, appreciation as well. Very important. And you can also check if Venus falls in the sign opposite the moon or the sun. But then we want not only to be opposite, we want it to be closer in degree to the relative moon or sun. Say someone's moon is in Pisces, the other is in Virgo, or the sun is in Pisces. Again, there is attraction, but there is a bit more problematic attraction because it's opposites. So there is a bit more tension between them, but opposites attract, as we know. So it's very bonding again. So we do want to see Venus with Venus of one person connecting to the ascendant sun or moon with the other, or even to the opposite sign. And then you can continue with the other planets. Venus of one connecting to the Mercury of the other. Then there is the person with the Mercury feels like they have constantly Venus transit, which means that the Venus person would affect them. Venus person will appreciate their communicative abilities. They would make them feel listened to. They would make them feel clever and witty. They'll probably laugh at the Venus person because Venus is appreciation and Mercury sense of humor. They'll probably laugh at the person's sense of humor, not at the person, but with the person. They'll find them witty. They would find that the Venus person and Mercury person would love to do some activities and hobbies together because Mercury is games and plays and communication and having hobbies and developing skills together. They would very much spur each other on, appreciate and feel comfortable and recognize the Mercury person for their skills, for their knowledge, for their ability to communicate, for their wittiness as well, for their skills, as Mercury skills, the knowledge, information that we have. So they can have great communication when there is the Venus-Mercury interaspect. And it's often seen between friends as well, because friends like to do hobbies together, to talk about similar things, to discuss similar things, to chat for hours. And the two people appreciate this interaction. So again, this is a wonderful interaspect. But we want it to be, it's good to be in the same sign. It's very good. But the closer in degree it is, once we pass over these three, ascendants and the moon, the next planet, we want to see Venus like close, within 10 degrees of Mercury. Say Venus at 10 Virgo, we want to see Mercury around 15 or 11, or within 10 degrees before or after the most. The closer in degree it is, the more powerful it is, and the most powerful combinations are when they're within 2-3 degrees of each other. Then there is like this spark, they click together, it's fantastic, Then let's see someone's, what is this? After Mercury, someone's, we said the Sun, Moon, Ascendant, Mercury, Mars. Wow, that's fire. That's fire in relationships. This creates more friendliness and having fun together and laughing at the same things. I had my Mercury was on the Venus of someone I knew, and we used to laugh so much. And he thought I was so funny, and I would just keep making jokes, and that was fantastic. And Mars and someone's Venus, if they're in the same sign, this is like a chemical reaction. This is hormones in the air. The closer in degree they are, the more powerful it becomes. Say Venus in the person's Mars is at 5 degrees, the Venus Virgo is at 6 degrees, within 1 degree from each other. It's like, whoa, and they see each other, there is sparkles around them. They get turned on around each other. Even if it's between friends of the same sex, they would excite. The Mars person would excite the Venus person. The Venus person would kind of assuage the hunger of the Mars person, because Venus, it was the only goddess, remember, who could calm down Mars, the crazy Mars, the god of war. So the Mars person will feel calmed down and erotically and sensually turned on by the Venus person, and the Venus person will feel magnetized and sexualized by the Mars person. It's a really bam combination, really powerful in very good sexual relationships. And if there is an opposition, it's more tense. There is definitely sexual tension, but it can end up with arguments as well. The expression of affection might be a bit more, tense. But anyway, even with the conjunction Mars and Venus, when they're next on top of each other in the same sign, there will be the expression of the affection and love will be more rough in a sense. One will stimulate the other to grab them, tear their clothes apart, to do more vigorous things together, not only sex, but something energizing, Mars, physical activity, and exciting things. Go on a trip that is exciting, adventurous. You definitely stimulate in each other this kind of adventurous and loving feelings at the same time. So very, very powerful, this combination. It's not necessarily proper love, it's more on the physical hormonal level, because both planets rule desire, what we hunger for and what we appreciate. So they create this strong desire, attraction between the two people. So we do like to see that. But if the rest of the compatibility is bad, and they have this great Venus-Mars conjunction opposition, they might not be able to live together, but they might keep coming back to have sex together because they feel so good doing such activities. Then, let's see, Jupiter. I don't know if you see it here, but if one's Venus falls on another's Jupiter, this is fantastic. Jupiter is, the Jupiter person will expand even more the Venus person. Say someone has Venus in Virgo and another person, say Venus in Virgo at 20 degrees. And someone's Jupiter, but I want you for the planets after Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, not only to look at the sign, but you want to see within a few degrees, probably within 10 degrees, because when it's further than 10 degrees, it becomes weaker, the aspect. So you want to see, when you see someone's Jupiter connecting with, falling on another's Venus within 10 degrees, even a bit more, as long as it's in the same sign, then the Jupiter person will expand the Venusian qualities of the other person. Say it's a woman who doesn't feel very feminine and attractive, who doesn't know how to have much fun or express her femininity, and she meets a man whose Jupiter falls on her Venus. And Jupiter is this allowing influence, this expanding influence, this influence of again appreciation and more like, not being judged, but being accepted, being welcomed. So the woman if she had a suppressed way of expressing her sensuality, her feminineness, if she was afraid of relationships, and someone comes in her life who has Jupiter on her Venus, whether it's a friend or a man or a partner, all of a sudden she would find herself blossoming as a woman around this person, learning how, being able to have more fun, to appreciate life, to appreciate her own worth. This man or a partner or a friend can teach her how to have more self-worth and to appreciate herself, which is Venus. Can teach her how to, and if you want a business partner with someone and you have Venus-Jupiter connections, this is fantastic for making money. Because both Jupiter and Venus are connected, Venus to money, Jupiter to wealth. If you have this combination and you want a business partner, this person can really expand these two people can help each other's resources grow. And can be profitable if you want to gold dig with someone. If you want someone to, support you, find someone whose Jupiter falls on your Venus, and then this person will be generous. Jupiter is generous with you and shower you and give you things. So we like Venus and Jupiter, especially if we need some healing in regards to Venusian themes to happen, or some lessons to learn, but lessons in the easy way. Someone to open us up in regards to Venusian things. Someone to open our ability to enjoy life, to be beautiful, to be sensual, to, after maybe a heartbreak, someone who comes with Jupiter towards our Venus, they would make us feel good, And it goes kind of both ways as well. So we do like this combination as well. Now comes the more difficult one. Saturn and Venus interaspects. And Saturn, as we know, is one of the more cruel planets. And what happens when there is, for example, when Saturn falls within 10 degrees of another's Venus? Well, the Saturn person can kind of block the expression of Venus in the other partner. Because Saturn has blocking influence, kind of restrictive. He can be a bit judgmental, or she, towards the way the other person expresses feelings. And it can almost feel like the Venus person might feel like, I love them so much, but when I try to show my emotions and my affections, I feel like I'm blocked, or I feel like I'm not appreciated for the expression of this affection, or I feel like I'm spurned. So this can be a relationship that creates more pain. A relationship which, and in a good sense though, someone with Saturn, because Saturn is the hard taskmaster who teaches us by criticizing us, by pointing out the mistakes we make, by cooling off and being detached and controlling us. So the person can, by such behaviors, teach the other person how to control their Venus, which is maybe if the other person is too flirtatious, if the other person is too wild in relationships, if changes partners too many times, the Saturn person can be like a break to them, like some kind of a control influence for them not to go wild, to be more, to take into consideration what is socially acceptable, because Saturn is what society approves of, what is right, what you should do. But the Venus person might feel a bit suppressed, because they might feel like, when I get drunk, I like to strip, in a nightclub or whatever, or I want to dance very sexy, and my partner looks down at me, and then he says that I behaved improperly or whatever. Or Saturn person with Venus, the Saturn person can be a very sobering influence in their love life. If the Venus person was going from relationship to relationship, the Saturn person can come and tell them, criticize them and say, this is not the right way, this is not how you should do it. It can be good for friendships, for example, or can give them some more wholesome, more socially acceptable way of enjoying themselves and appreciating themselves. But on the negative level, someone's Saturn towards another's Venus can suppress their ability to express affection and emotion and their self-worth. They might feel like, I don't know why, but I don't feel loved. I don't feel my love is reciprocated, because Saturn is, this blocking influence. On the good side, Saturn tames a Venus, makes it more socially acceptable, and it also can create relationships, because Venus rules relationships, which are based on more responsibilities, which are based on fulfilling certain, building certain structures, certain roles in life, building certain foundations and barriers in life. So kind of structuring influence on you. And that's the good side. And it can create longevity in relationships as well, but the relationships that are based on mutual responsibilities towards something. But in the bad scale of things, this can be someone who breaks your heart. This can be someone who makes you feel unappreciated. The Venus person can often feel the one that is unappreciated because it's as if they have a Saturn transit to their Venus constantly when they're with this person. For example, the Venus person is normally, say, someone who, flirts around or whatever, or even if it's someone who is very shy in relationships, and the Saturn person might keep telling them, oh, come on, relax a bit, just be more joyful, stop with your, have more fun. In some way critical, in some way judgmental. But there is this strong bond as well, because Saturn inter-aspects always create longevity, and having to work out some karma, having to work some mistakes from past lives, having to learn some difficult lessons about the planet that has connection with the other Saturn. So often these people can be bonded together for a long time until this karma is resolved, until the person with the Venus either rules to control expressions of love, or to do them more socially acceptably, or to pay off a karmic debt to the Saturn person. Often there is some karmic debt that has to be paid. And then things can improve, but initially it's quite hard. Okay, so that's the Saturn. Then we go to, it gets interesting now, Uranus. It's how it's written, Uranus. Now, if you have one's Venus, but now for Uranus onwards, I want you to look within 6-7 degrees. Only oppositions, basically the opposite signs, say someone's Venus is in 7 Virgo and the other's Uranus is either at around 12 or 13, 14 the most of Virgo, or maybe 0 degrees of Virgo within 7 degrees on each side. Or opposite, in the opposite sign, saying Pisces, within 7 degrees on each side of Virgo, maybe from, 7 before or 7 after degrees from the exact degree of Venus. So we're looking for close aspects here. So when you have Uranus-Venus interaspects, then these are the relationships where two people can really excite each other. It's like they can fall in love from first sight. It can be sudden, because Uranus is this sudden energy, as a flash of lightning. These two people can, their relationship can be changing constantly as well, because Uranus is changes. It's very exciting, it sparkles in the air, but it's not consistent. Because Uranus is the electric, up and down energy. So one moment they can be okay and very close, the other one they can be breaking up, or it can be such people who have Venus-Uranus close aspects. And if you can see for square aspects, this can also help you square aspects, but for this you need to know, which the square aspects are. If you see the square, the opposition, or the conjunction, it will be definitely valid between someone's Venus and Uranus. So what happens? The Uranus person will affect the Venus person as a constant Uranus transit, as if the Venus person is having a transit. So very exciting in relationships, especially for the Venus person, but they're put on a roller coaster. Whoa, up and down, changes. Sometimes there might be a relationship where one person has to travel a lot, or this can be long distance relationship. There is something inconsistent, something a bit disruptive in the relationship, something which is not smooth all the time. Or if they live together, the constant changes that are happening, the constant emotional ups and downs, but it keeps the relationship very exciting. Every time they get together, there is sparks coming from these people around, But there is definitely periods when there is on and off that happen between these two people. And the expression of emotions and feelings and affection can be at moments very wild and very unconventional. They can do crazy things together. They can try different types of sex and experiment, or even threesomes or whatever, because Uranus is very experimental. But at the same time, there isn't much. If they don't keep constantly excitement in the relationship in some way and introduce new things, they can be disruptiveness, the relationship breaking up, or certain surprises coming up, or the two people generating such surprises, so they can fulfill the energy of the Uranus-Venus combination. So yeah, this is one of those things that can be very exciting, but very volatile energy. So they have to find ways to resolve it by doing exciting things together, by experimenting, by maybe one traveling more, but also someone who has Venus-Uranus interaspect with another, they can teach them how to do relationships, or they can open up their mind about relationships in some way. The Uranus person in particular can open up the Venus person. If the Venus person has been very traditional or has always done relationship in one way, the Uranus person can open up new vistas in front of them and totally even outrageous, socially unacceptable ways of relating and of having fun. But maybe that's what exactly the Venus person needs. If you have someone, you connect your Venus with your Uranus, you need such a person, obviously, at this moment of your life. Okay, then someone's Neptune. Neptune, Venus interaspect. The conjunction, again, is the strongest. We're looking within 7-8 degrees on both sides for this to be very strong influence, or the opposition is very strong, or the square as well, you'll feel it. So what happens if you have Venus-Neptune interaspects? Then the person, usually the person with the outer planet, from Mars onwards, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, these are the outer planets. People with those planets have a more powerful effect on the Venus person, a more intense effect. And the Neptune person with the Venus, this can create a very powerful state of feeling, especially for the Venus person, that the other is the ideal partner, because Neptune is this idealized planet. They can look to the partner with starry eyes. They can think, wow, we connect on a soul level. This can be a soulmate connection, actually. If it's very close, within 5-6 degrees, 7 the most, it can be really one of those relationships that you can call soulmate relationship from past lives. But it can be also very deluding, because not every relationship is a soulmate. It can be the Venus person might think, put their rose-colored glasses for the Neptune person and just idealize them and not see the reality. So the Venus person is good to advise with friends or people that are outside the relationships, to have a more objective view of the Neptune person, because the Neptune person might be able to do things behind the scene, or the Venus person might not be aware of a lot of things the Neptune person does. But that's the worst manifestation of the Neptune person. The Neptune person might delude or deceive, in worst case scenario, cheat in some way, or use the Venus person, because the Venus person wants to give, to enjoy, and the Neptune person might be misleading. But on the higher manifestation, Venus-Neptune, this is when there is, we said, this unconditional love between the two of you. And usually the Venus person wants to really do for the Neptune person, and to idealize. And it can often be seen in affairs sometimes. And just like Uranus, all the outer planets are connected to affairs, because Uranus makes it very exciting, inconsistent, on and off. They do not see themselves often. But Venus-Neptune is like they idealize each other for years. And if you break up, someone with Venus and another whose Neptune falls on their Venus, the Venus person might idealize for years the Neptune person after that, long for them, Or the Neptune person can become like a muse for the Venus person. And sometimes it can go both ways. But usually the outer planet person has more power over the inner planet person, more impact on them. So be careful of deceptions and illusions with the Neptune-Venus person. Just a second. Just checking. But also there is strong ability for sacrificial and this very romantic and mystical love almost. And feeling like, wow, we're soulmates. And sometimes, to be honest, a person needs to experience such love, even if it's full of deceptions and self-delusions or delusions from the other person. But just to feel this feeling of sacrifice and love and fairy tale like romantic influence, it's idealization. It's a once in a lifetime sometimes experience. And then the last planet is Pluto. When someone's Pluto falls on another's Venus, whoa, this gets obsessive and intense. Again, the Pluto person tends to have more power, tends to try to be more controlling of the Venus person, because Pluto is more controlling influence, but in a subversive way. Not so much like Saturn controls with criticism and telling you directly or disapproval. Pluto controls in manipulative, subtle ways by owning your soul. The Pluto person can get obsessed with the Venus person as well, but the Venus person, there is often obsessive tendencies there. The Pluto person can awaken jealousies, powerful jealousy, and it can go both ways for Venus, Pluto. Powerful jealousies, these are karmic. This is karmic. If it's within 5-6 degrees, this conjunction or opposition or square is a very karmic connection where the Pluto person can make the Venus person meet up their shadow side. They can make the Venus person experience such intense dramatic feelings like possessiveness, like jealousy, like control, that the Venus person might be a bit, whoa, intensity, absolute intensity. And it can be very sexual relationship. With Venus, Pluto, it's not about idealization like with Venus, Neptune. It's about real intense experiences between each other. Let me just check. We have 2 more minutes to record. Real intense experiences, and they're sexual, they're visceral, they're like almost like the Pluto person puts a spell on the Venus person. It might be very hard to get out of such a relationship until the karma runs out and the Venus person, or sometimes the Pluto person, learns the lessons of how to control such deep, intense feelings like possessiveness, like control, like possessive in relationships, like the darker side of relationships as well, manipulation and matters like that. But again, the Venus-Pluto person can be someone who, the Venus person can, and the Venus and Pluto person, when they combine together, this can create big financial income. If you do business partnership, Venus-Pluto can really transform your finances, can really transform your Venus, which is finances and money, in a big dramatic way. But the Pluto person can often break the heart of the Venus. It's also secretive energies, manipulative. It can be met again in secret relationships or unrequited love, and obsessive love and secret relationship. I keep repeating. Those cross-starred lovers, as they say, with a lot of intensity, a lot of inner psychological and deep sexual connection, with some secretiveness, with some secrets there. So we'll continue after that with Rahu and Ketu.